call. We have Mel Van Patten joining us from a remote office. We have, sitting next to me, we have Leanne Cooper on my left, and we have Jennifer Raby on my right, and we have a new member of our team, and her name is Lisa Coleman. So everyone, you may be talking to Lisa soon, but we just wanted to introduce her to you and let her, so that you can put a face to a name. We have about 10 people here. I don't see, Henry is supposed to join us today. Oh, and Henry is here. I'm going to let Henry talk first. Just a few things. We're going to record this session, so I think Mel has already started the recording for us. So Henry, do you want to give us an update about the subsidies? Henry? Well, maybe it sounds like he's having some technical difficulties, so I'm going to, we'll just move on to the next thing on the agenda, which is the timeline. But first of all, I just wanted to give y'all some numbers about what's going on with the funding of the Libraries Connecting Texas project. So we have 109 funding commitment decision letters that have been issued to Libraries Connecting Texas libraries, and of those applications, that represented $1.6 million in commitments for Libraries Connecting Texas libraries. That's significant because $2 million was what was committed for all of the libraries in Texas. So the Libraries Connecting Texas libraries represent 79% of the dollars that have been funded for libraries in Texas. So congratulations, everyone. Nationally, $753.8 million has been committed so far, and we're expecting another funding commitment wave to come out tomorrow, hopefully. And because Nesbitt is listed as a wave ready, we're hoping that we're going to see Nesbitt funded tomorrow. We have 2 libraries that are in applicant documentation received status in PIA. We have one that is waiting for heightened scrutiny. I'm not sure what that one's about, but we're going to be looking into it. And 11 have just been assigned to initial review. So congratulations to everybody who's been funded and who's flying through PIA. That's really significant. So,
Caroline?
Yes.
Caroline?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can. So Henry did figure out why he was unable to be heard, and he should be unmuted and ready to speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Henry.
Can you hear me? Hey, can you hear me okay? Great. Okay,
yeah.
Sorry about that. So yeah, thanks everybody for participating today. So just as far as the subsidy goes, if you have received a commitment for the FY 2019 year, you should have gotten an email from me that kind of goes down what's required to receive the subsidy. I sent out a reimbursement contract and any other forms that you might need so you can get that direct deposit. So please let me know if you didn't receive that email, because if you got a commitment, then you should be ready to go, and we're ready to start issuing you those funds.
That's great, Henry. It sounds like things are moving along. For those of you who don't know this, we have links to some webinars in our agenda, and one of the links is to a video that Henry did on the library subsidies. So if you need to be brought up to speed on that, please check out the links on our agenda that we sent out. The next item on our agenda is the timeline. And so to present that, we have Jennifer and Leanne. So Jennifer and Leanne, do you want to talk about the timeline of things to come?
Sure. I'm going to talk a little bit about invoicing and where we're at with that and next steps for folks. As a reminder, a refresher to the Group 1 libraries and our Group 2 new libraries, there's two methods that can be used to invoice USAC to ensure that you receive your E-rate discounts. The first method is the SPI method, which is the service provider invoicing method, and that is where the service provider they discount your monthly bills. The service provider will invoice USAC for the E-rate portion. I know right now we're working with some of the libraries and you're using the SPI method. The others are using the BARA method. That's the billed entity applicant reimbursement. And that's where you're paying your bill in full each month and you will be filing a BAR to request reimbursement. Right now, we are working with some libraries for the funding year 2018. As a reminder, that runs July 1st, 2018 to June 30th of 2019. If you filed an E-rate application in 2018, you should be, if you're using the SPI method, you should be reviewing your bills to ensure that the discounts are appearing. For those that are filing BARs, a reminder that the deadline to invoice is no later than 120 days after the last day to receive service. For recurring services such as internet, that would be June 30th. So June 30th plus the 120 days, your drop-down deadline to submit a BAR would be October 28th of 2019. Going forward for fiscal year 2019, which runs July 1st of 2019 to June 30th of 2020, if you filed an E-rate application in 2019, which you all have, but you have also received your FCDL, which is your funding commitment decision letter, you need to determine what invoicing mode you're going to be using, whether that be SPI or BAR. If it's SPI, you'll need to notify your service provider prior to July 1st to set up that discounted billing. And June's already approaching, so for those of you that have received your commitment, that will be important for you to do if you're doing the SPI method. If it's BAR, you'll be responsible for submitting the BAR form to request your reimbursements. You must have a PIN and you must have a Form 498 with a status of approval to do that. The BARs going forward will be due no later than October 28th of the year 2020. Are there any questions regarding the SPI or the BAR method or anything in general regarding invoicing that we can assist you with? Jennifer, who will be talking about the Form 486.
And Leanne, just to interject there, I had every attendee muted and I've just unmuted them. So if anybody has questions, now you're free to speak up.
Well, if no one has any questions. This is the form that notifies USAC that you'll be receiving the services, and it also indicates your SIPA compliance status. For those of you who filed an E-rate application in 2018, one thing to note is that you must be SIPA compliant by July 1st of this year. And for the first time, for the 2019 first-time applicants, you have until July 1st of next year in 2020 to become SIPA compliant. And Just to note, the 486 happens to be the easiest form for everyone to complete. It takes less than 10 minutes of your time. And of course, we're happy to assist if you have any questions while you're trying to complete that. And if you are planning to use the SPY method, you need to plan to complete that 486 by July 1st, which makes the service providers, gives them the ability to go ahead and discount your bills up front. And we sent instructions to you regarding how to become SIPA compliant in the email if you received your FCDL already. And if you are in Group 1 or Group 2 and have been funded for internet discounts in the past, you must be compliant on or before July 1st of 2019. If you're in Group 2 and you're receiving E-rate for the first time, again, you should begin to take steps to become SIPA compliant and get that completed by July 1st of 2020. Does anyone have any questions on the 486 or the SIPA compliance? Caroline will also be going over the 486 in a little bit more after.
Michelle Kaiser, Michelle, are you trying to ask a question?
I'm not.
Okay, sorry about that.
All right. And now I'm just waiting for you to go through the 486 because I'm stumped.
Oh no, well, I have good news and bad news about that. We do have the training site set up and we can go over part of the 486, but USAC has not set it up with funded FRNs for us to actually complete the entire thing. But I do want to get y'all started with it. So we are going to start moving into that right now. Let me pull up my training site. So the training site is set up for, I'm using an independent library. Those of you who have branches will have something that looks very similar to this, but this is the training site, I guess, landing page. So for those of you who are filing along with us, go ahead and log in to Epic and go to your training site, to your landing page. Once you're on your landing page, there's a menu up here and there's a link that says FCC Form 486. And you should click the Form 486 and then assign a nickname to your form. I'm going to call this one 19 Internet. Most of you have been funded, the ones that have received funding commitment decision letters. I think most of you have received C1 funding, but there were a couple of people who received C2 funding. Assign a nickname that makes sense for you, that'll help you kind of remember where, what you're going to be doing. I'm going to put 2019 because that's the funding year we're in. That's what you should put in there. This is we're talking about funding for 2019. You'll need to assign a main contact. For most of you, that will be yourself. And in this case, the library administrator is the contact on this form. Everybody with me so far? Any questions? Okay. So I'm going to continue. Now I've got the sidebar minimized so I can see the whole screen. So if anyone has a question in the chat, please let me know. So and on this page, you're going to need to put in the information that will help you to add FRNs to your Form 486. In this situation, I don't have any funded funding requests, but you should either type in your application number or a funding request number from your application. So look at your funding commitment decision letter and type in your Form 71 application number. Does everyone know how to find your application number? Anybody need help with that? So if your screen looks just like ours, it's possible that you have not received your funding commitment decision letter yet. I'm not sure what your situation is, but if you are having trouble, then we can address that situation after the call, and we can also send you a link to a demo that we've already done for the 486. Does anybody else have any questions? Has everybody found their 471 number? So once you have typed your 471 number in here and you've searched and you click search, you should get your application FRNs should show up in this box right here. There should be a list of funding request numbers. Once you see a list of funding request numbers, you would check off the ones that you want to add. Most of you are going to want to add all of the FRNs from your application. I think in most cases, most people only have one funding request in their application. Some people may have more than one, especially if you have a branch. So you would select, or you can click on Add All FRNs here, and then it would show up in this box right here. And once you've added your funding request, then you would click on Continue. And of course, I'm not going to be able to progress here. From here, you would be going to the certification page, and depending on whether or not you're SIPA compliant, you're going to respond differently to the training. I mean, sorry, I'm looking at the screen and somebody is going to need a link to the training video. We're going to send that out after this call. We'll send everyone a link to the training video. But so for the certifications, those of you who are in Group 1, you should be SIPA compliant if you've been filling out your Form 486. If you have been funded in another year for internet access, you should be SIPA compliant to move forward with your 486. And so if you are SIPA compliant, then you should say in your certifications that you are SIPA compliant. If you are one of those libraries in Group 2 who is filing for the first time and you're not SIPA compliant, then you would select the choice that says that you are taking steps to become compliant. I believe in this group, those are the only two certifications that you would want to make. Either you're SIPA compliant or you are taking steps to become SIPA compliant. And those people who would be taking steps to become SIPA compliant would be the people who are in their first year of funding for internet access. Those are the rules that the FCC has put into place. If you are concerned about your SIPA compliance, then you should definitely either reach out to us or to Henry. Henry can give you a lot of information on how you can become compliant and help you figure out where you are in the process. Henry is a great resource and has also some great videos on compliance.
Caroline, considering the limitations of the training site, I do have pulled up our step-by-step instructions that have the screenshots. Do you want me to share my screen as you go through it?
Yes, I think that would be great, Mel. Thank you.
You're welcome.
She's made herself a business.
And for those libraries that have been funded, Jennifer and I have been following up once we know you've been funded with the step-by-steps as well, in giving and providing this information. So feel free to call us as well.
Okay, so sorry about that. been having a little bit of technical difficulty over here. So so Mel has gone to the place that that we were just now. So circled in green is where you are adding your FRNs from the little box up here where you search and you moved them down to the selected funding request. Then you would select continue to move forward in the process. You need to confirm your service start date. Usually that's going to be July 1st if you want to get funding for the entire funding year. July 1st, 2019 is going to be your service start date. Unless for some reason you're not going to be SIPA compliant by July 1st. Then you would probably want to put the service start date of when you're going to be SIPA compliant. And in that case, I would wait until you are SIPA compliant to make that move. In some cases, USAC will kind of delay your the processing of your 486 if you check anything other than you are SIPA compliant, so just be aware of that. So if you're filing the 486 prior to July 31st, that would be if you're filing today, then you would want to check the box that says early filing. Then you would, and you would not want to click on that SIPA waiver unless you're one of those libraries who is making attempts to become compliant right now. Then you would certify that you are taking, certify that the services listed on the 486 have or plan to be are being provided by, you're going to get all of your eligible lists, all of your that were on your 71 application and all of the services.
Your eggs are at my house on the.
So you're basically certifying that everything that you're getting as a service through the 486 is what you requested on the Form 471, and that you are aware that you don't always get these discounts, that you have to apply for them every year. Excuse me, I have to make a cough. Sorry. And that the SIPA certification is that either you have complied with the Children's Internet Protection Act, or if you are taking steps to become compliant. So those are your two choices. Then you would review your certifications to make sure you've selected the correct boxes, and then you certify the form. You should receive an email once you have certified the Form 486, and it should provide for you a notification letter saying that USAC has accepted the Form 486. That Form 486 notification letter will be available to you in your profile on your landing page under notifications. You can toggle it to Form 486 notification letter for 2019 and it should come up. Does anyone have any questions?
And Caroline, I'm going to kick it back over to you.
Okay. So I'm just checking to see if anyone has any questions about the 486. For those of you who are trying to file right now, do you have any questions that we need to answer right now?
So we do have some late breaking news while we're waiting for people to speak up. Congratulations to City of Columbus Library, who just received their funding letter in the wave that USAC just released about 10 minutes ago.
So I was hoping that they would be in that. They are getting a gig of internet, and I don't think Susan is on this call right now, but I can't wait to give her the good news, because that was a big deal. She's increasing her bandwidth to to a gig from, I think, 200 megabits. So congratulations to Susan. So, do we have any other questions from people who are on the call? Either you can, if you can't speak, if there's, I know that some of you have patrons in the library and can't talk, but if you want to use the chat to ask your question, we'll be happy to answer your question. Well, if no one has any other questions, I think we are ready to end the call. Thanks, Mel, for your help.
Thanks, Caroline. Thanks, everybody.